Hi, everybody. This is Jess Arce, America's dyslexia expert from 3D Learning Experts, and you're listening to the Learning Disability Experts podcast and channel, the show for busy parents who want to discover how to help their kids with learning disabilities, or as I like to say, learning differences, go from surviving to thriving. Today, we are talking about, is Dysgraphia Awareness Day a real day? With Deedra Scherm, who is an expert in being a mom advocate. Thank you, Deedra, for joining us today. So excited to share your journey, your day that you have created. And so let's just get started and tell us, how did you get started with wanting to have a Dysgraphia Awareness Day?
Hey, well, first I want to say thank you so much, Jess, for having me here. And you're an inspiration to me because of all the work that you do and all this technical stuff that's going on right now to send out videos and do podcasting and everything. And it's just great to be able to talk with someone who, one, knows how to take care of all that stuff, and two, has a real heart for people with learning disabilities, especially your 3Ds, which includes dysgraphia that a lot of people don't know about. But
yes.
To answer your question, how did this all get started? I'm just a lot alike. So probably many of your listeners and a lot of the people you work with. I'm a mom who has a kid with a learning disability that was a huge, huge struggle for us as we were trying to navigate our way through the school system. And my son, my youngest son, I'll call him Nathan. Nathan was diagnosed very, very early because my spidey senses were going off when he was young. And I said, I know this is, we're having trouble here. And I didn't really know until first grade, or was it kindergarten even, but he was 6. And I was walking down the hall at the school on open house night. And I went into the classroom and saw all those posters, they put up that where the kids, where they had put all about me and had put, their pet and their favorite color and their favorite food and all of their favorite things. And Nathan's poster was there. And I went down the line and went, oh, isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? Is that neat? Reading about everyone else. And I got to his and I realized, oh, you can't read anything. You could not read anything that he did. And I knew in that moment up there for everyone to see, he had something that was going on that I didn't know what it was, but I knew that something was going on. So that's really how all of this started. And from that to diagnosis to here we are 6-7 years later, it has been a struggle to get help with dysgraphia. And I decided I need to do something about it. I was actually crying in my bedroom, like we all do, sometimes in the shower, talking to my husband saying, I can't believe the struggle that we've been through. Because when Nathan was diagnosed, what the school told us was, well, we have protocol and help for people with dyslexia, but we don't have any protocol for students with dysgraphia. And so it's better now. And I said to him, if only we knew what we knew now back then, how much farther could we be along? And there's still so many parents who don't know right now what we know. If only I could tell them. And he said, why don't you? Why don't you tell them? And that's how I started on the journey I am right now, was really just this heart hurt that it's been so hard. It shouldn't be this hard for kids and parents. And is there anything I can do? So that's how it really started. And when I started looking into what can I do to get people to help more, with accommodations or diagnosis or modifications or helping in the classroom and understanding a child, I realized so many people don't even know what dysgraphia is. So maybe I should start with just letting people know what dysgraphia is. And I said, maybe we should have a Dysgraphia Awareness Day.
So why don't you share right now what dysgraphia is?
Well, you could probably explain it better, but from a mom's point of view, and that's what I think everyone should know, is I'm just, and I don't mean to say just a mom, that mom is insignificant, but to say I'm not a trained expert. So everything I have gone through is what probably many of your listeners have gone through, is searching yourself, and then being the expert, maybe not in dysgraphia, but the expert on my child. So for my child, dysgraphia, what it does for him is that it is a neurological brain disorder with no cure. And for him, it causes great difficulty in the physical act of writing and getting words from his head onto paper, and then being able to sustain that over time. So it's a written expression disorder that he's dealing with, that just practice won't, over and over practice won't cure it. It can help, but until people understand that it is a neurological brain disorder that is more than just messy writing, then we're really going to have trouble getting understanding and all the accommodations that we need in the classroom and in other areas. So that's what it is for my child, and that's what it is for me working with my child.
Well, you did an amazing job of explaining that. And I think that's probably pretty much, it in a nutshell for all people with dysgraphia. And I began my journey the same way as you, because I have a child who has profound dysgraphia as well. So what have you done? What kind of accommodations does he have? What is going on for him in school right now?
Well, we have done all sorts of accommodations. We have been in public school, we have done homeschool, and we have done private school. In the public school system, he had his full evaluation. We had an IEP. We would go in for ARD meetings. This is in Texas. And there were certain kinds of technologies that were available. And then at times during school, he would have an aide that would come in a couple of times a week for 30 minutes at a time, which for some of you who are parents to children with profound dysgraphia, that's really nice, but it doesn't really help with everything. But they were doing what they could and what they had to offer with their staff and understanding. And then in homeschool, of course, I used all sorts of accommodations, tools that would help him read things online, a pen that he could hold and read things through a pen that would read it out loud to him. We used technology on an iPad where you can take a picture of worksheets, tap, and then write onto that. And then, of course, mom was the all day, every day aide in the classroom with him at home. And in private school, we took a lot of the accommodations that were listed for the school and then worked with a specialist who went through those accommodations and modifications and made a very extensive, long list of things that they have tried to implement. Because as many people know, in a private school setting, they're not required to give you all the accommodations that are often required in a school setting. But the school that we attended have been very gracious with Nathan and have tried to implement. But even in that setting, in all of these settings, including with myself at homeschool, there is a learning curve of what works for your child and what doesn't. And sometimes it's trial and error. And that's really been a good learning experience for me in this journey, to figure out what works for my child and then not being afraid to advocate for that in meetings at schools with teachers individually, so that Nathan can get what he needs.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being so dedicated. And I mean, we all need to be an advocate for our child until they can be an advocate for themselves.
Well, I'll tell you, I totally agree, but it is hard sometimes. And maybe people who are listening to this can relate, is that it's difficult sometimes to have to go to a teacher or have to go to an administration and say, hey, he's not supposed to have more than 5 spelling words. And this week you gave him 10 and you made them copy them. And hey, we have to pull this back out. And this is the 3rd time we've talked about it. And that can just really happen. And when that happens, you can start to feel as a parent or as a mom, like you're stepping over your bounds, or you're being a nuisance. And I had to get to the point where I said, my son's destiny for his own success and traveling down that educational path, that is more important than what anyone thinks of me. If I didn't get to that place of being able to say that and be okay with that, there's so many times I would have been roadblocked. But at the same time, I find angels in the school system and with teachers where you will get some. Even just today, and I just posted it on the Facebook page, that I got an email from the band teacher, a new band teacher, who did not know Nathan's diagnosis and has not taught anyone with that diagnosis before. So it was sent home that he was supposed to start playing the xylophone, and we were to buy the xylophone, and he was going to work on that. And we have tried piano before and worked, and that processing speed of being able to see and use the fingers and do that has been very, very difficult and frustrating. And so I wanted to find out if he could try playing a rhythm instrument where we could avoid some of those variables. And I was very kind and said, here's his diagnosis. If there's anything I can do to explain or help, that'd be great. And I got this great email back for him that just said, you know your child better than me. I will make accommodations for that. Let's move him over to percussion, where he would do drums and cymbals and things like that to remove some of those variables. Is there anything else that I can do? Let me know. And I mean, that is the dream for every mother advocate for her child, is just to have that kind of support for a teacher to say, I might not understand it all, and I haven't dealt with this before, but you're the expert on your child. I will make the accommodations. And really, one of the biggest things for both moms and for kids is that we're believed. That's one of the main things, is like, when we say this is real, it is real. We're not being lazy or trying to get out of things or have special treatment. It's real. It's frustrating for us as much as it is for you, but we need to work on success and encouraging our children in education and not hindering that education by ignoring the disability that they have.
Absolutely. That is so true. All right, now share with us about your national. Is it national yet? When we last talked, you were working on getting it.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, National Dysgraphia Awareness Day is October 3rd. It's coming up very soon, and I'm super excited about it. A couple of things. One, first, locally where I am, the mayor of our city announced it for Richardson, Texas. Is officially Dysgraphia Awareness Day for Richardson, Texas. Then the National Calendar Archives reviewed all of our information and has just released, and we released recently on our Facebook page, that it has been accepted, and we are now on the calendar archived as October 3rd being National Dysgraphia Awareness Day. And I'm really excited that next week, I'm going to also make a few more announcements that I can't right now about some other things that have been put on calendars and on the books. So we're really excited. I've been very excited about the response that we are getting from even political figures that are saying, yes, this is a real thing and it needs real recognition. So it's a real thing. We're official.
Ah, that's wonderful.
So excited about it. Yes.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm sure it happens just as much with people with dysgraphia as people with dyslexia, that there are prominent people who struggle with the same thing. But
Yeah.
it's so that's amazing that, they're stepping up, and then we'll start to learn more about all the different prominent figures in our country and in the world who have dysgraphia, like we have our list of people with dyslexia.
Yes, and you know what? Right now, the dysgraphia list is a very short list for people that are well known. And I always I've had some people say, don't just find people who are well known or celebrities. There are lots of people who are successful and who have dysgraphia who aren't famous. And I would say, yes, they should be speaking out too. But it is when we are trying to get awareness, it is sometimes nice to have those people come forward who are very well known and can reach a large audience to make it even more known, so that more people who can be inspirational to our children with dysgraphia will be able to come forward and say, oh, I recognize that. In fact, I have had 2 people over the age of 80 years old who have contacted me and said, because of what you're saying and doing, I'm 80, I'm 92 years old, and I realized that I have dysgraphia, and I've had dysgraphia this whole time, but I didn't know the name to put to it. So
Right.
I will tell you, the only really prominent person who is that I can find who has spoken out more than 1 or 2 times on having dysgraphia is Henry Winkler, the fawn.
Oh, okay. I knew he had dyslexia. I did not know he was also dysgraphic.
Well, that's what I have read multiple places. So
Okay.
Henry Winkler, if you are listening to this podcast, get in contact with us, because we really want you to speak out a little more and tell everybody more about this, as so many are learning about dysgraphia for the first time.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on to my show and sharing
you.
your enthusiasm with everyone. And I'm so excited to be able to be on your show on October 3rd.
October 3rd?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited. October 3rd is officially National Dysgraphia Awareness Day. And on that day, you can go to www.turnrightearound.com, and that's right with a WRITE. And that will have information where you can go on that day. And we're having 17 different speakers who are experts in the area of dysgraphia speaking and sharing to hopefully bring a light to all that have dysgraphia have to deal with, and how we can also encourage people to do things to help them, like educators and parents, what we can do to look forward to bringing a light and helping those with dysgraphia. So we'd love to see anyone who would like to join us there. And thank you, Jess. I'm so excited to have you speaking on that day. And I'm so grateful, like I said before, for the work that you do in an area there's very few like teachers or occupational therapists or any kind of helpers that have the word dysgraphia in their title. So it thrilled me to no end. Oh, I've got a broken foot. I just dropped my crutches.
Oh.
It thrilled me to no end to see your 3D in your title, and that D stood for dysgraphia, because we are just so thankful for people like you and so excited to hear you speak on October 3rd. So thank you so much for that.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Deedra, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye.